Hello and thanks for staying on LN 24/7. This is Politics Now. My name is Morno Balagbobo. You're welcome to the conversation. Tonight we'll focus our attention on North Central and Nigeria's development agenda. Let's take you through our talking points. We'll be looking at budgetary neglect, the North Central's exclusion and Nigeria's uneven development. We'll also take a look at FCT sidelined, representation wrongs, and the federal character principle. Today, natives of the Federal Capital Territory citizens stormed the National Assembly. We'll be breaking it all down tonight. Also, we'll be looking at regional commissions reimagined, building an inclusive national development model. Our guest tonight, Comrade Aldo Wahab Ekehide, is the chairman, APC South-South Forum, and also FCT aspirant for executive chairman of AMAC. He will be joining us live in our studios here in Abuja. Also joining us later on the show is Arome Agenyi, a public affairs analyst. He joins us from Lagos, and of course, he will be helping us break down his thoughts on regional development in Nigeria. Also, Sam Agua joins us from Abuja via video call. He will be with us later on the show tonight. So sit back and relax. We'll take a breather, and when we come back, we'll break it all down. Just stay with us.
LN 24/7 is first of all a news station.
We'll continue with updates from the just concluded governorship
in the Southeast has raised questions if INEC will be able to conduct elections.
With a core team of over 40 correspondents spread across Nigeria.
This is the Otedola Bridge, the famous Otedola Bridge.
We are not here to beg, but we are here to fight for our rights.
And affiliates in Africa, Europe, America, and Asia.
Under heavy security here in Lagos, Nigeria.
We give you news as it breaks from the perspective you can trust.
They told us that they are going to be here from 7 a.m. and they've been here since morning.
LN 24/7 News, where the story goes, we go.
And having said that, as an indigenous, we believe that the president of this nation, he's doing a wonderful job for the FCT Indigenous because he has appointed one of us in the Federal Executive Council. Now, this appointment we're talking about is that we need somebody who knows the terrain of FCT. Like places we mentioned so far, Abaji, Kuje, Gogolada, Solomon don't have this knowledge. And if you don't have knowledge of a particular area, how do you govern the people? So we are actually here to tell the Senate, the lawmaker of Nigeria, to revise the appointment before the screening. Thank you. My name is Ibrahim Umar Makeri, the youth leader FCT.
However, something just happened recently, about 2 weeks ago. Mr. President graciously approved the establishment of North Central Development Commission. And in the Commission Act, it stated clearly that states that form part of that commission should be members in the board of that commission. To our greatest dismay, just 2 weeks ago, appointments were out, and we saw all of the states that constitute the North Central states, about 7 states including FCT, are duly represented in the board. But FCT representative is from Benue, Comrade Solomon Adodo. He's from Benue State, he's not from FCT. Section 2 sub 1B of the Act stated clearly that there shall be an indigene of each state that constitutes where that commission is being established, which is the North Central. So it is expected that FCT indigene should represent the FCT people in the board. But to our greater dismay, we saw Solomon Adodo representing FCT. And that is why we are here today at National Assembly to talk to them, to complain to them, and to tell them that we are not happy with this thing. National Assembly is our state house of assembly. They make law for the people of FCT. And they should listen to us and take this matter to appropriate authority so that the needful can be done by changing the name of Solomon Adodo and replacing it with an indigenous person of the FCT.
As you can see, the 9 indigenous tribes has been marginalized from the North Central Development Commission, which the Act states that an indigene of FCT should be nominated into the board and ED position, which has not been done. Only God knows why, but we are here to tell the government of the day. The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, we know him to be the President and lover of peace, justice, equity for all Nigerians. I'm very sure he's not aware of this gross marginalization that has been minuted on FCT natives. Because as far as I'm concerned, he loves us. For the first time, we have a representative in the Federal Executive Council, which is the highest decision-making body of the land. For the first time since the return to democracy, an FCT native is seated in that council, which we appreciate him for that. So for the North Central Development Commission, where the seat of government is, and that, the host of the federal government.
I am here for the purpose of nominating Adodo for the FCT people, which we are not happy with it. We are not happy with it because he is not from here. He doesn't know where our rooms are leaking. So for that, we are here to say the president and the Senate president, for nominating this one, they should come to our help so that they will change this person to the rightful person, because they will better do best for us.
The complaint of the FCT youth is that, as you are aware, the federal government, via an act of National Assembly, has come up with the North Central Development Commission. This commission is expected to look at the problem, challenges of development and all kind of problem bedeviling the region. And in the North Central, there are about 7 states, including the FCT, which include the Benue, Nasarawa, Plateau, Kogi, Kwara, Niger, and Federal Capital Territory. The act that established the commission has says that the board members should cut across these states, including the FCT. But the nomination awaiting the ratification of the National Assembly has the 6 states represented with the exclusion of FCT. If you go through the list, you will notice that Benue as a state has about 4 representatives from the state, with one Solomon Adodo of Benue State representing the FCT. The people of FCT
Yes, that's...
We pronounce it mono.
Yes.
Director. Benue has member of the board. The only one for FCT. They don't carry him again. Give Benue. We not agree. Our honor, you go agree. We not agree. They kill all of us. But we will be here and let it be on record that they cannot take everything away from us. It's not possible. I don't have any other state. Do you have another state? No. There are original inhabitants in the FCT. We are here. The name who said did not come from heaven at all. The name of somebody.
Many thanks for staying with us. We do apologize for that break, but glad to be here, and our guest is live with us. Well, today we confront a pressing controversy, the exclusion of the North Central region, including the Federal Capital Territory, from the North Development Commission's framework and the 2025 budget's regional development allocations. Now, earlier today, natives of Abuja, under the aegis of the FCT youth stakeholders, forum marched to the National Assembly to protest the appointment of Mr. Solomon Adodo, a native of Benue State, into the board of the newly established establish North Central Development Commission, NCDC. They urged the Senate President Godswill Akpabio to reverse the appointment, and we've shown you some of the sound bites. But let's tell you that the North Central Development Commission, with the 2.49 trillion allocated to 5 other regional commissions, I beg your pardon, not to the North Central Commission, but that's for the other 6 commissions. But the North Central's omission, coupled with the contentious appointment of a non-indigent to represent the FCT, has sparked outrage. Now, this raises broader questions about equity, representation, and the effectiveness of Nigeria's regional commission model in driving national development. And as security, poverty, and infrastructure deficits plague the North Central, can Nigeria afford to sideline one of its 6 geopolitical zones? And that is where we will begin our first set of conversation, looking at the North Central's exclusion in generally. Now, the 2025 budget, finalized at 54.99 trillion naira, allocates the sum of 2.493 trillion to the 5 regional developments, that is Niger Delta, Northwest, Southwest, and Southeast. And of course, the North Central, comprising of Benue, Kogi, Kwara, Nasarawa, Niger Plateau, and the FCT, received no funding for its recently approved NCDC, despite its passage in February 2025. And this exclusion has fueled accusations of marginalization, particularly as the region faces banditry, farmer herders, and conflict. And of course, the commission's designed to bridge development gaps rather spent 99.7% of budgets on personal costs, exposing systematic inefficiencies in national development. Now, we've got some infographics showing the 2025 budget provision for commissions, and you can see them right there on your screen. So we'll also look into some of the North Central challenges. The North Central has 33 million Nigerians facing food insecurity from the infographics that you can see on your screen right there, and also 63% rural poverty. And the NCDC approval, Senate passed it back in February. So let's get to our guest, our comrade Abdul Wahab. Good to have you on the show today. Thank you so much for being with us.
Good evening, and I want to say good evening to Nigerians as well.
All right, so let's start with the protest at the National Assembly earlier today. We saw placards and a lot of people calling out for the National Assembly to do something about this marginalization that you're talking about. So can you tell us what are some of the key concerns for your people regarding this issue?
Well, thank you so much. I watched it on your telly now, and the North Central Development Commission. If you look at the act setting up the North Central Development Commission 2025, says that this North Central Commission is comprises of 7 states, and they arrange them in alphabetical order. Benue, FCT, Kogi, Kwara, Nasarawa, Niger, and Plateau states. Makes them 7. And it was the drafters of the act were very intentional. They didn't make any mistake. There was no ambiguity. They said that each state shall be represented by an indigene. Underline the word, an indigene. And in the composition, the chairman of the board is from Benue State. Benue State still have an executive director. Benue State still have a member. Now, coming down to the FCT, they still took somebody from Benue to be the one to represent the FCT, who is not an indigene. So what the FCT is simply saying is that, no, you cannot have a commission that should represent all the states, and then we are excluded, the FCT. No, it is not acceptable. And that is the reason you see the FCT Youth Forum, the Youth Stakeholders Forum, they first organize a press briefing sometimes last week. And this protest was just a peaceful protest to tell the world, to tell the National Assembly that we are not happy for what you have done, because this is beyond marginalization, this is exclusion.
We saw the police tear gas.
That's what we are saying. As I speak to you, somebody is seriously hurt, who was shot, is in the hospital as we speak, in trauma center at the National Hospital, trying to revive him. He was shot. Peaceful youth that are just out there to express their grievances, their grievances about the marginalization that is being done to them. They are out there, they weren't carrying anything. And you know the leaders. You say, I think I want to talk to our policemen to be more professional in their duties. You know, when a group comes out and you know the leadership, a former federal commissioner of the Public Complaint Commission was there who led the protest. He was there. You know, so you cannot say you don't know the faces. There are faces that you know, that people you can invite, and they will gladly come to ask them what are the issues. That's him talking. Honorable Ezekiel that had
hospitalized.
No, he's not the one hospitalized. Okay. He's the one that led the protest. That's him. Honorable Ezekiel Dahatu, the immediate past federal commissioner for the Public Complaints Commission, FCT. That's him. You can also see Haja Farida Odengi, who was the former SA to the immediate past minister of the FCT, and a renowned civil society woman. There are a lot of faces that you know that you can even invite, say, what's the problem? And you listen to them.
So from now till, from when they went for that protest, have you gotten any feedback?
Yes, I have. I spoke with Farida Odengi. She was the one that
feedback from the National Assembly now?
No, not yet. Not yet. Because you disperse everybody started, and then you now have to take care of those who are injured in that I call it attack, because you don't need to attack peaceful protesters. You can engage them. They weren't doing anything on civil, or they were not destroying properties. They were just airing their grievances to say, and democracy gives you the right to say, no, I don't, this, what you have done to me, I don't like it. And they have not taken up arms. They are just saying, let us express ourselves to say, look, what you have done, this marginalization is too much. Whereas you are the grafters of the art. Why is it that it's you again that is disobeying the art? Something you drafted, you gave the rule, and it's very clear terms, no ambiguity. They even went further to say that the chairmanship of this board will be for 4 years, and it will be rotational in alphabetical order amongst the state, which means after Benue being the chairman, the next chairman will come from FCT.
Now,
that is how they are arranged.
We'll come to that conversation, but I want us to take the conversation in a broader perspective. Now, we're looking at the administrative or political factors that have led to the North Central's exclusion from the 2025 Budget Regional Commission allocations. So how does these reflect flaws in Nigeria's fiscal planning? Because earlier, I think some days ago, even Peter Obi was making reference to the fact that, I mean, it's unheard of to have the NCDC not have proper budgetary planning. So what are some of the political factors? Because prior to now, I've met with people who have always come out to me and say the North Central is always excluded from the political activities of things in terms of appointments and in terms of benefits. So how do you, can you walk us through your thoughts and your experience on this reality?
Now, why not try to make excuses? I want to say, you know, the major people that are being marginalized as far as North Central is concerned is the FCT people. That is a fact, because all other states, first they have governors, they have democratic structures and organs. In their various states, they have governors, they have ministers, they have DG, they have all the paraphernalia of government, they have it. So they have channels of communication that they can reach to people. But the FCT is marginalized to the extent that they have very few representation.
How about under the leadership of the Honorable Minister?
Now,
have you seen things gotten better?
Yes, things, you cannot deny the fact that people that have never had a minister. This is the first time the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu broke the age-long genes to appoint an indigenous person as a minister of the Federal Republic. And the FCT people are so grateful. We are grateful to say, Mr. President, thank you for that, because that's a genes that have been on for a long time. Now, have you given them a minister? Right now, the Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, Right Honorable Zafanaya Bitrus Gisalo, MFR, the man is doing well. But you know, some states even have 2 ministers. You understand? Some have. But he is a minister and is representing the FCT. Yes, we are grateful. But what we are saying, when you bring out an act and you specifically specify what should happen, how people should be, you know, selected to be members of that board, and you now again went behind to go against what you have enacted, then there's something wrong. It means that you really don't care for these people. And I think that Mr. President is not aware of what is happening. And that is why the FCT people wants to come out for the public to know. And that was why that protest was also held. So now, that the people
talking about the commission itself, now with just 99.7% of commission budgets spent on salaries, how can the NCDC secure funding for critical infrastructure and other projects? Because the budget just takes the whole chunk of paying salaries.
Now, you see, you know, the drafters of these commissions across board, they have made provisions how money should get to the board, to the commission, through the federation account. They have made that provisions. Now, if the money comes, that's another ballgame. How do you manage this resource? Because even in the act, it is specified what these monies should be meant for, especially areas of crisis, you know, IDP, all those kind of, they are specified what the money is meant for. So, and that is why they are saying indigenous of these states should be the ones to come together, because you can, if you go there and you now want to change your people there, the people will have you to hold responsible. Now you're already a member representing your people in that board. So if you don't do the needful, we know that there's gully erosion disturbing us and you have money, you didn't come to fix it. We know that there is banditry that have destroyed some houses and you didn't come to fix it. Then the people will now ask you questions. What happened? You are in this commission, we know that, and most especially when they will have other states to look at, to say, okay, this person in this state is doing this, why are you not also doing this in your state? So it is now left for the people to hold their representative in those boards accountable. You understand? But the way monies will come is already also stated clearly. Now, I think maybe there is a lacuna or maybe an omission why budgetary allocation is not given to the NCDC. You know, maybe that could be an administrative form, which I know that can be rectified. Even through a supplementary budget, those can actually be rectified. For me, that's not a challenge, because they will rectify. Maybe it's an omission, but they can also always rectify that. You understand? But our major concern is that let the people be properly represented by those that have been so stated in the act, not a different person.
So this exclusion, so to speak, in terms of budgeting, do you think that it exposes crack in terms of Nigeria's national development framework?
Of course. If you are planning, for instance, your household, how would you plan for your household and leave, maybe you plan for yourself, plan for your wife, and leave the children out? Then you know that something is wrong. Even if you have 100 naira, for instance, you must plan within that 100 naira and it will carry everybody. You understand? So if you decide to now plan and leave a section of your family, then something is wrong. Something is that. So how do you expect them to survive? How do you expect them? What you are simply saying is that go to her or go and you know what you can do. And that is why we are having a lot of crimes in the society. Crime and criminality is happening because people want to survive. And when you push people to the world to the level of, say, let us just survive, then anything can happen because of survival. And that is why you see a lot of crime. Young boys and girls today are into different types of crime because they want to survive.
Now, what do you say to people who are having conversations regarding the legality of these regional commissions? Because for some people, they're like, I mean, that's like spending too much money, so to speak. And there are people who are even using the word that it's an aberration. So what are your thoughts to those who are having these conversations and feel like this is a kind of waste of resources on the part of the federal government?
Well, you know, everybody has a different perspective for everything, you know. But my own perspective is that, well, it is a way to take development down to the grassroots. Because the federal government, because if you check, the complaint you have amongst our people, every complaint today is directed at the federal government. You have not seen people come to complain about their local government. People even hardly complain about their governors, their House of Rep and senators. They don't complain more. Everybody, even from my village, direct their complaint straight to Mr. President. So the federal government has also decided to, okay, let us bring up some institutions that can help us drive development, empowerment down to the people without necessarily passing through the state structures. You understand? Because they have discovered that sometimes when you use monies to pass through the state governors and through local government, these monies are always missing in transit. So rather than say, okay, we spend, okay, now you see that since they remove,
shouldn't government solve that problem?
Maybe that's the solution. You know, when you sit on the round table,
but that is waste. Some people argue that that's waste of resources.
No, it might not be waste, because take for instance the NCDC. There are a lot of issues that NCDCs have solved in the Niger Delta. Ordinarily, that state government can't even do. State government, even states that have money, at least the Niger Delta states are oil-rich states, but the interventions of NCDC is enormous, and you can see them. You understand? So it complements the efforts of the states. Where the federal government still gives money to the state, yet they still fund the commission to make sure that development is driven to the grassroots. And I think, for me, I don't want to call it waste. It will become waste when the managers of those commissions now misappropriate or embezzle this money. That's when it becomes waste. But if these monies are truly used for the purpose it's meant, you can't call it waste. For instance, a road is bad and they come to fix it. It cannot be waste. There is no water, they fix it. Schools, they build. Because NCDC in Nigeria, they build schools, they build the gully erosion. I know of the gully erosion in Auchi that they came to do, they fix it. So those cannot be regarded as waste. What is waste is when money is appropriated and you divert it for other things or into your personal pocket, it becomes waste. You understand? And mechanisms should also be put in place for people who will want to misuse or mismanage resources that is meant for the people. Because this money is actually meant for the people. It's commonwealth of the people. So you cannot say money used for people is wasted. No, it cannot be wasted. But if it is not properly monitored, you know, Nigerians, most of them who are there have sometimes they want to take this money and put it in their personal pockets. And that's the challenge. And that is why agencies like EFCC, ICPC are set up, because we know that there must be financial crimes. Even in the U.S., they set up institutions to monitor people because they know that there's tendency for people to want to take what does not belong to them.
All right, now, so let's get back to the FCT. Now, the FCT with 3.5 million residents faces significant challenges. 60% of rural areas lack basic infrastructure and 63% live below the poverty line. And this marginalization reflects broader issues of political patronage and ethnic bias in Nigeria's regional commission. So we're on to our second talking point. Now, on May 16, 2025, the North Central People's Forum demanded a balanced NCDC board composition, specifically objecting to the FCT's exclusion. And of course, we have an infographic, if we can have it up, showing the representation wrongs and federal character principle with the population of the FCT and some of the challenges faced in the FCT. And it is believed that with this commission, some of these challenges can be resolved with proper representation in terms of infrastructure and other facilities. So, Comrade Abdul, let's look at how does appointing a non-indigene to represent the FCT on the board undermine the federal character principle and the also local trust?
Now, it wouldn't have been a challenge. For me, I'm not an indigene of FCT. I'm from Edo State. But I've resided here, I've lived here. My children,
how long have you lived in the FCT?
I've lived here for over 26 years.
So we can as well say you are a citizen of the FCT.
I've lived there, and not just that I lived here, I have also played politics with them. So they can trace me to my political ward, to my polling unit where I vote, and they can equally trace my followers. I'm the chairman of the APC South Forum in the FCT. I have chairman of the area councils. I have ward chairman. So they know that I have a followership. And we have, because we are also comrades, I run an NGO, and we work with them. We work with them because whatever benefits the FCT, the infrastructure they put here, is the only the indigenous that are enjoying it? No. I came here now. There are good roads that I pass, and I came here. I'm not an indigenous, but I enjoy them. You understand? So every facility, infrastructure that I put here, we all enjoy it. So now, because this art is specific, if this art did not say indigene, maybe if you have said anybody from you can appoint, then there will be any problem. Even though people will want to still protest, you now direct them to the art that it didn't say it must be an indigene. And
so
I tell you,
do you feel that there are political influences that has, I mean, because normally when you talk about appointments, even there's a lot of lobbying that go into it. So do you see political forces, big political forces, top at the chain level, influencing this particular problem?
Of course, you cannot rule out.
Can you call names?
Especially in the FCT. No, I don't want to call names because no,
you should call names.
The reason why the reason why you will not call names, because sometimes there are rumors. So Mr. A is the one that put him, and you might not be so sure. So if you are not sure, something you are not sure, you can't mention it. But what I can assure,
is this an APC thing?
Of course. Of course. But let me tell you, because APC is in power. They are the ones that, of course, it's an APC.
So are you saying that every appointment in that board, most of them are members of the APC?
Well, somebody must nominate somebody. And those people who will nominate you are members of the party at the highest level. You might not even be in APC, but they can nominate. After all, the FCT minister is not in APC, he's a PDP person, but it's an APC president that appointed him. You understand? So somebody within must be the one to nominate you. What we have seen is that...
From what you're saying, this seems to be a party problem. So why not take it up at the party level to solve it?
No, why? You see, governance is beyond party. You know, once you are elected, you are no longer either a governor, a chairman, or a president of your party. You are now president, governor, minister, senate president, speaker, legislator of everybody. You understand? So if you are not that, but because there are some positions that they will say, okay, we'll give this slot to so people, you bring. And that is why FCT is suffering, because FCT, based on the constitution, they say it to be treated as if it were a state, and they said that in the composition of the appointment in FCT, it must reflect the siege of political zones. So when they do that, people who are in authority will now go out of FCT to bring people. For instance, they can even go and bring an Edoma who lives in Benin to come and be a mandate secretary. They go to Zamfara, bring somebody who is resided in Zamfara to come and be a mandate secretary. But what we have been saying is that no, even if you want to pick those people from the different, they are all resident here. Like members. I am the chairman of the APC Southside. If you need a professor, a technocrat, we can produce them who are living here and they are playing politics here. The essence of people joining political parties to play politics is because they want to derive benefits. So we are here. If you need somebody from South, come to. We will give you this. Just give us the CV you need. We will produce the person for you here.
So because of time, I want us to delve into some of the developmental consequences of excluding FCT indigenes from representing their unique rural and urban challenges. Let's explore that, comrade.
Let me tell you. Let's take, for example, let's do an illustration. I live in this community. This is my community. I was born here. I live here. My grandparents live here. Everything, they live here. Should I not know more of the problems of my people? Of course, I should. So if you want to bring somebody who wants to solve our problems, would you pick from us to say, okay, since you are from here, we know you have specific challenges, come. Like when they created NCDC, do they go out of Nigeria to bring the managing director of NCDC? They cannot do that. You can't do that because you have to bring somebody who is abreast with the happenings of the area, somebody who knows the cultural and the challenges the people are facing. These are the people, because when you sit on the round table, when everybody begins to say, okay, these are the challenges of my people, if you are not truly integrated, you might not know the challenges. You might just be beating around the bush. But the man that knows that is from there will give you bit by bit that these are the... So it reduces full representation and it deprives the people of getting the true benefit they should have derived from your representation, because you cannot represent them well because you don't even know the issues. You don't know the challenges. You don't know what they are facing. You understand? Because you just came from somewhere, you are here, you are living in the city. Have you gone to interior villages within the FCT? If they tell you there are villages in this FCT that don't have light, you won't believe it. There are. Villages that you cannot drive, is not motorable. They are. And this is the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria, which is a pride to Africa. And yet there are villages that you go that don't have basic infrastructure. They don't have it. Some don't even have schools. No water, no pipe-borne water to drink. You understand? So, and this is FCT. As you speak, you are aware that schools have been on strike.
Including primary health care centers.
They've been on strike. So how will the people survive? How? And let me tell you the mistake, the challenge politically why FCT is suffering. When you now go appoint these people, when it comes to national election, all of them pack their bags and baggages and go to their various states. And then you leave the FCT bare. Nobody who is empowered to be here that will trickle the empowerment down to the grassroots. And so why would the city government not lose the FCT? Because you don't empower the people to empower the grassroots. So, of course, in every election, you expect to fail. That is exactly the result we'll be getting.
So how does the FCT's marginalization reflect broader issues of political patronage and ethnic tensions in Nigeria's regional commissions?
Now, it shows that what it means is that government needs to go back and strategize. I say, look, because all these commissions are supposed to be part of integration. Let us bring each area at par in terms of development. So when you now see there are gaps, some areas are lower than so, what do? You sit down on the round table and say, look, how do we bridge these gaps? And in bridging this gap, make sure there's fairness. Because you can't give Mr. A 100 billion and go and give Mr. B 10 billion and you think they will perform at the same level. It's not possible. So, and you look at the challenges they are facing. So government must be fair, there must be justice, and when government make laws, they must be the first to obey it. That's what we're saying. Because anytime you make law and you don't obey it, you are giving room for anarchy because the other man can disobey as well. So if you don't arrest, if you don't show good example, how will you insist on good examples? These are what we are saying. Government must be fair. Balance. This is what we call equity.
Well, you use the word government now. This is not government as in the government that brought about these commissions in the first place. This is within the lower cadre now in terms of the organogram. This is within those who do the appointment, so to speak. It's not really the president who is doing the appointments, neither is it the National Assembly. So how can there be fairness in all of this moving forward?
That's what I'm saying. Fairness is playing by the rules. This act is very clear. He said this...
So when you have the rules and they are not following the rules,
yes.
Do you see a situation where you could take this in court?
Of course. If it gets to that, of course. That is why we are trying to use all means to reach out. We know that Mr. President is not aware of what is happening. Is not aware of this exclusion. So if you do all this, and letters have been written, even to Mr. President, even to the President of the Senate, the Speaker of the House of Rep, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, letters have been written widely.
Is the FCT Senator King Igwe, aware of this?
Of course, she's aware. She's aware. The members represented there, and that is the challenge. You know that they have the environment they find themselves. Our representative at the National Assembly is so enormous. It's not conducive because you just have one senator to go around 109 senators, and you have 2 House of Rep members to go around 360 members. You know, it's enormous. So how do you lobby? So FCT is so marginalized that even politically they are marginalized. Their representation is too small.
So we need more senators.
We need FCT to have the required number of senators that every state has, which is 3. And they should expand their membership of the House of Reps from 2 to at least 6. For now, even they should expand the local government. Let the area council be like 12. You understand? So that they will have more, and they create a House of Assembly for the FCT. Democratize the political and administrative structure of the FCT. Let there be truly a state. That section 299 of the 1999 Constitution should be amendment that said that FCT should be treated as if it were a state. They should remove that clause and say FCT is a state.
All right, comrade. Now, how can the federal government address the FCT's dual role as Nigeria's capital and also a North Central community to ensure its inclusion in the NCDC?
Now, what we have proposed is that, just like Washington, D.C., they can create federal capital city, which will be for the federal government. And they create an Abuja state that will comprise of all these other, interiors, the suburbs of all those other area councils. They will run. But the federal government, the seat of federal government will be in the federal capital city. We have proposed that they can even, but those people running it must not be appointed. They must also be elected. You can have a governor, you can have a mayor, call him any nomenclature, but let it be somebody that will be elected by the people, not an appointee. The president was elected as the president of Nigeria, but he's also the governor general of the FCT, and he delegates that authority to a minister. You understand? So the president is in charge of the FCT. And why does it surprise you that the president never wins the FCT? Not only this president. Because of the lopsided appointment, lack of empowerment of the people who are from here, who are indigenous, and those who reside and play politics here.
So that distrust is there, yes, right from the onset. Yes. Okay, we're about winding up, but let's touch quickly on our last talking point. Looking at the NSCD, approved by the Senate in February 2025, it aims to tackle the North Central's infrastructure deficits, insecurity, and poverty, but its success is uncertain amid systematic challenges. Now, regional commissions like the NCDC, the NEDC, allocate 99.7% of its budget to personal costs, leaving just 0.3% for the development projects. And the NCDC's recent 10 billion investment in entrepreneurship via the NDCC ITMA offers potential model, but mismanagement allegations persists. So with Nigeria facing 34.6% inflation and a 38.9% poverty rate, that is for over 87 million people, the NCDC must prioritize transparency, community, and equitable representation, including for the FCT to contribute to national development. So as we wind down the conversation, comrade, how can the NCDC secure adequate funding and avoid a situation where they have 99.7% for personal costs trapped to address the North Central's infrastructure deficits?
Now, that will be the genuity or ingenuity of those who are in charge to manage the commission. Because sometimes when you rely solely on government allocations, sometimes you might not get it on time, sometimes they might not be adequate, and so they need to spread their net. They need to talk to international partners, development partners. They need to, so everything will now depend largely on the ingenuity of the managers of the various commissions, that they can get even foreign assistance, they can get spirited individuals who are billionaires who are in this country, who have humanitarian tendency to also contribute, who are also from, you can also look at their illustrious sons and daughters who God has blessed and they are well-to-do, to also be able to contribute some certain amount to that commission for the purpose of helping and alleviating poverty within that region. You understand? So the ingenuity of the managers will go a long way to determine the survivor or the impact of these commissions to their people.
Now, what lessons can the NCDC draw from the NDCC's entrepreneurship initiatives to ensure impactful development in the North are central.
In fact, all other development commissions must learn from the NCDC, because NCDC has been here, and there are a lot, you just said it, entrepreneurial, the project they are doing. They are scholarship. There are so many Niger Delta youth who have been taken abroad for, for different skills, on different skills. Not just, we are talking of skills that, workable skills, where you come, you start working. Underwater welding, a lot of things they have taught the Niger Delta youth. Some of them today are professionals in their various ways, and they are doing well. Government, when they train you on these things, they also provide grant for you to start up grant, so that is how to reduce unemployment. You empower the individuals to be able to empower others. So this they must go and understudy the NCDC. They must go and understudy the NCDC.
Now, moving forward, how should the NCDC integrate FCT indigenes and other local communities to ensure transparency and accountability in its operations? Because that's very important. So we cannot have leakages from state allocations, FAC, and then we begin to have leakages again, even at this regional development level.
That's why I tell you that mechanism must be put in place to check whoever is in these boards, managing them. But the greatest mechanism is the people themselves. We are supposed to be the watchdog over our representatives in any way, be it at executive level, at commission level. We the people, we must stand up to always ask questions. And they must, even before they start, I know they will have to go around to do town hall meetings, to meet with traditional. They must involve the traditional institutions. They must involve the religious institutions. They must involve the various gender status, the youth, the women, and to bring persons with disability. They must all be embedded and carried along. We are talking about inclusive development. So you don't do development that excludes some people. You understand? The elderly. So it's a holistic thing that they must carry the people along. Otherwise, they will not succeed. The people must be the catalyst for driving their development agenda. Otherwise, they will just be sitting in meetings and drinking tea and sharing money and go home, and nothing will be on the ground.
Now, Nigeria's Regional Commission, is it fit for its purpose? Because you have the naysayers, those who still believe that this is a waste of resources. So what are your thoughts as we close?
No, you won't blame Nigerians for them, because they have been a trust body, deficit between government and the governed. And it is because of activities, what we have seen over the years. When you entrust people with leadership, and yet they don't give back what you expect. Of course. So they need to build that trust. There must be that trust. There is no trust between the people and the government. Government should begin to do things what they promise. When they come to campaign, they promise this, they promise that. They must begin to fulfill what they want to do, so that the people will have trust in them. And once the people have trust in you, you will succeed.
Now, in 1 minute before we go, my producers are giving me signal. What do you think the Ministry of Regional Development can do in terms of equitable distribution of funding?
Now, I don't know how they distribute this fund. I don't know whether it is based on the problems, the challenges you have. But I would say, share this money equally to the commissions. Let them go and now solve problems in their areas according to the challenges they have.
Well, I want to thank you once again, Comrade Abdulwahib, for being with us on the show tonight.
Thank you very much.
All right. We want to also say special thanks to our guests. They tried to log in virtually. That is Agenyi and also Samuel Agua. Hopefully we can have them on subsequent conversations. Well, that is the much we can take for the show tonight. Many thanks for watching. And of course, we'll keep tabs with the demands from the FCT residents who stormed the National Assembly. We'll follow up the story. This is a developing story. Perhaps we will see a quick response from the government via the National Assembly, where they protested earlier today. Once again, my name is Morno Balagugu. Many thanks for watching.